Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Summary and Review with the comic book critic from Brooklyn. We are here, joined today with Spider-Man number 11, the Miles Morales story by Brian Michael Bendis, and we finally saw Sara Pichelli back on this issue. Woo! Which is one of my favorite Spider-Man artists today. Anyway, let's get right into it, shall we? We open to Miles' father, who is awakened in the middle of the night by a phone call that asks him to see if he has a certain album in stock. He says no, hangs up, and tells his wife it's a wrong number. The next morning, he uses that same line that he found with the person on phone in a record store to get into the back of the record store. The record store worker tells him to go into the back, which he does, to find a S.H.I.E.L.D. contact waiting for him. So he goes into this record store, he says what the album that the lady called him last night, and then the worker's like, alright, go in the back. So he goes to the back, he finds the S.H.I.E.L.D. person there. The S.H.I.E.L.D. contact teases him about his wife finding out about his Miles' secret, and hands him a drug version of Terrigen. Terrigen being the cloud that is causing all of the humans to turn into inhuman to kill all the mutants. A S.H.I.E.L.D. agent begins to describe what Miles' dad needs to do next, which ends up just being a panel-to-panel of what Miles' dad does with the drug. So he describes what he needs to do, who he needs to meet, what he needs to do, why he needs to do it with this Terrigen drug. And it's just each description is just Miles' dad doing that thing in the panel. Basically, Miles' dad turns into an undercover drug runner in order to get into the fortress of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s person of interest or target. S.H.I.E.L.D. provides the drugs, Miles' dad provides the person to get close enough to the operation to find out who this person of interest really is. He eventually builds up enough trust to be able to let into the target's fortress. The target and person of interest turns out to be Black Cat, the kingpin of crime right now. After a brief chat and tour of the operation fortress from Black Cat, who is talking completely nonchalant to Miles' dad. Miles' dad is led into a lower level of Black Cat's fortress. So Miles' dad is supposedly this drug runner for Terrigen for Black Cat. Or so she thinks. Miles' dad walks into a room after Black Cat to find himself an unconscious Spider-Man sitting in a chair in Black Cat's lower level of her fortress. Black Cat reveals she knew who he was as an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. and demands that he work for her now. She also knows Miles' secret, that he's Spider-Man. And, I mean, obviously he's sitting right there in the room, so she figured that out. Miles' dad makes a quick move, puts Hammerhead down. So Hammerhead is one of Black Cat's workers and follows her around. Miles' dad makes a quick move, puts Hammerhead down, grabs his gun, and then points it at Black Cat, who has moved her claws to Spider-Man's neck. Anybody who knows Black Cat well enough will know that her claws are sharp and will cut your neck open. There's a standoff, but Black Cat seems to have the upper hand because she admits to knowing his and Spider-Man's true identity, as more people with guns aimed at him because she's got a bunch of cronies in that room, and her claws at his son's neck. Miles' dad, being a friggin' pro, right, quickly incapacitates everybody in the room except for Black Cat with just a few shots, thus leaving Felicia and Miles' dad the only people awake and able to do anything. Once in this precarious situation, Black Cat gives up and all of the hollow projections begin to dissolve. So she's like, alright, you win, I'm in a precarious situation, I can't get out of. You got a gun pointed at me, I can kill your son, but I'm not going to do it, you win. All of a sudden, her entire image starts to fade away as if I was going to turn into Batman right now. And she just becomes Director Hill of S.H.I.E.L.D. And Hammerhead actually turns into the guy that Miles' dad had met earlier in the story in the back of that album store, the S.H.I.E.L.D. contact. So it says here, Hammerhead is actually S.H.I.E.L.D. contact from earlier, and Black Cat ends up being S.H.I.E.L.D.'s Director Hill. This elaborate ruse was just to test Miles' dad. They want to know that he can fulfill a job, and the job may require him and his son being at, the mercy of Black Cat, or maybe somebody worse than killing his son, but he still needs to be a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. So this was like the highest test, which begs him to ask what's next, right? So that's where that lands. And then we've got one more page in the issue. The last page is Miles' mom telling Miles over the phone that his dad is missing. So apparently whatever whatever mission he decided to take from S.H.I.E.L.D., he up and went and took and just went MIA, didn't tell his son anything, didn't tell his wife anything, and that's what we're going to pick up in issue 12. So I love Sara Pichelli's art in Spider-Man. Her panels are awesome. There was one panel where classic Spider-Man, again, it was two halves of a face, but this time it was Miles' dad, and then it was the S.H.I.E.L.D. contact, because it was back when he was teasing him about his wife finding out about his secret. All the Sara Pichelli can capture a person's emotional responses in their faces very, very well, and it adds a whole lot to any comic book she works on, because emotion in a comic book is extremely important when trying to tell a story. Without emotion in a comic book is just another comic book from back in the 1940s when it was all motion for kids and whatnot, and no adults read anything. So I'm glad that she's back on. I don't like Brian Michael Bendis. You'll hear me say that at least 1,000 times on this channel, because I don't like the guy. I don't think he's a good writer, but he knows Miles. Miles is his son, his child, so he knows Miles. So to the rating, I really thought this book was solid, but I didn't think it was anything that great. They barely did any Spider-Man stuff, and Brian Michael Bendis always does this kind of stuff in his books. He'll take some character in the sidelines and give a whole issue to him. It pisses me off. So I'm going to give this book like a 6, because we barely saw any Spider-Man stuff. It was just a big ruse, and we still don't even know what the point of it is. Why is Miles' dad involved in all of this stuff when we still are unwinding Civil War stuff? There's still more stuff to do with Miles. So this book gets a 6. Or like a 5.5. Yeah, I guess that's about it. Thanks for watching. If you have anything to say, you want to talk to me more about the book or any of the other books that I read and review, or anything in general, please comment below. If you like my video, please thumbs up and like it. And if you want to see more, go ahead and subscribe. Thanks for watching.